right, wanted to do something a little bit different. So this one is going to be a shout out to my Chessable people this series. And I am bringing to you 10 Alekhine games. There may be a few more than that in there, but I'm thinking it's going to be about a 10 video series. And who knows, we may jump around across the courses we got at the top. My Chessable courses with this series with some of the ideas and lines that I've been able to use in my own games just from writing these books. They may not follow the text exactly, but I don't know, I might be able to put some flair in there or show you some ideas that you haven't seen yet on the channel. So, without further ado, let's dive right into this game. I'm playing black on Lichess versus a GM at the time, rated 2600-ish. So, let's get right into this Alekhine game, shall we? And my opponent did what I think I see by far the most in my Alekhine games online. It's like C4 is, if not number one, it's close to number one. And then number two is the classical with knight f3. So if you got just those two down, you're more than halfway there with playing the Alekhine, frankly. C4, knight b6. And I have both responses, e takes d6 and c takes d6, covered in the Alekhine course. Personally, especially in Blitz, and this was a Blitz game, I'm more of a fan of c takes d6. And c takes d6 is just, to me, more dynamic. And I played these lines for the better part of 20 years now, so I have a really good feel for them. And I would say the Alekhine has the same kind of threshold for pain as like the King's Indian. Because as you put the Alekhine into a modern day engine, the engine's like, So it's fine. But there's a reason that it's considered a surprise value opening and not a overall 100% played all the time at the top level. I'd say that that's reserved. The annals of playing against e4 at the top level, you've got the symmetrical king pawn and the Sicilian dominating, with the occasional French and Caro-Kann. Caro-Kann being more popular than the French at this point because of players like Ferrugia. And then you've got all the other lines after that. You know, Alekhine and center counter, I would say, kind of on the same tier afterwards, but the Alekhine is far more dynamic. So, perk as well. After we have g6, see a move that I like to see early in the opening versus the exchange, which is knight f3, because this gives the opportunity to try to get the ideal Alekhine setup, and I've definitely talked about it before on the channel. And white plays a good move here, h3. So when I say the ideal Alekhine setup, this is the overall structure or goal that you're playing for. Say white plays a natural looking move like bishop e3. Okay, knight c6. If d5, I'm getting excellent play after knight a5. So they typically don't go for this. They'll play a move like rook c1. Well, already we have a situation here with white where he did not take the time to play b3 earlier. So we have the c4 square, which is excellent. So there's a couple of different telltale memory markers of how to handle the position. And I think I have to go back from knight f3 and play bishop e3 here, so I can get to the ideal position. And say he goes b3, d5. There you go. Well, I needed the c8 square. That's why it's important to get the bishop out. And now, h3 is a common move I've seen. We take, defend our d-pawn. And now what I want you to notice, as you see a move like, say, rook b1 to try to play b4. Already, I mean, e5 is pretty much winning on the spot here So you have to do something like, we'll say queen d2. Queen d2 looks pretty straightforward. Knight f5. Notice by trading off our light square bishop and changing the pawn structure, all of our remaining minor pieces make life very difficult. And knight takes e3 is fine. I've definitely played knight h5 in the past here. But black is fully in the driver's seat and playing for a win, and white has a difficult position. So coming back to the main game, after bishop e2, castles, h3 was played. So it's back to that theme of when I play d5, I still need a square for my b6 knight. So first I go knight c6, and it's getting that theme in your head of if d5, knight a5, and you can't play b3 due to the long diagonal. So you're safe there. So they just make a normal move like castles. And now bishop f5, again, d5, knight a5 ideas. So he goes bishop f4. Fair enough. I get a square. And bishop f4 is better than bishop e3 because the knight is currently not hitting anything substantial from c4. And white should have a pretty stable edge after queen d2. I play bishop e4, still going for the overall plan of, can I just take on f3 and gradually play against that d-pawn? Here, white should play knight e5, where he's definitely better. But in blitz games, anything can happen. And after bishop e3, misses that opportunity. And e6 would be solid, but I was feeling, why not have some fun in the position and blow it up? And bishop g5 would be great for white here, but after knight takes d5, I took, and bishop f4 would have been much stronger. And the main reason why I chose this game to kick things off is I was playing against a GM, and the game was littered with mistakes, which to me says that if GMs are messing up positions, I'm messing up positions constantly, everybody's messing up positions constantly. If you're playing with the trends, if you're just following fashion, playing what all the top guys are playing, this is what these guys make a living playing. So they will screw up these types of secondary type systems like the Alekhine, which is why I still play it. And here, black is getting pretty close to equality after that bishop is traded off, and my wayward knights are starting to get some decent placement. Rook c8, king g7 holds everything nicely, and the engine's starting to recommend moves like b4 for white or queen g3, knight c3, just trying to be flashy. I'm like, okay, we can be flashy. And if you like simple, straightforward tactics that I miss constantly in my game, you'll love this next move. And you don't spot these unless you're looking for them, I feel like. Knight d3, where I'm forking the queen and rook. Very satisfying, but at the same time, if rook takes, queen takes. So that's a shame missing that one. But you know what I did? I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take your bishop and then replace the other knight there, which in turn gives white an excellent position after queen g3. But my opponent goes queen f4. And did I find it this time? Did I find knight d3? No. No, I did not. I decided to go d3, and I was thinking about the square, so it's kind of a ridiculous thing that happens. Knight takes, knight c6, and I think the only thing noteworthy about this game was the fact that I was playing a strong player. Like, I made a playlist of games on Lee Chess, so to speak, so long ago that when I went back through, I had about 250 games. And it's like, you know what? Let's start the series with some Alekhine, and we'll annotate and analyze on the fly. Clearly, my opponent blundered. And now the hardest thing to do is to win a one game. So I decided to make it harder by putting the knight there. Far more accurate. This is a good, if you're a pause your video type of person, what would you play here? All right, hopefully you took some time. And queen b3 is actually very strong because we have the idea of deflection. And this is difficult in a blitz game to evaluate, and no telling what the time was. This is a win. As for instance, rook b1 is met by rook b8. And I still have the outside a pawn, and my king can run over and assist. But I go knight a5, which gives chances. But I didn't miss the opportunity here to attack multiple things and trade down. That's what I'm good at there, and I won on time. So that's going to do it for game one. Definitely a topsy-turvy game, and we're going to see some of that. These games are definitely not without blemishes. But to me, especially when I did the course, recorded the course Mastering Chess Middle Games for Chessable, I began to find more and more how many inaccuracies there are in high-level games. So going over and being honest, objective about your games and trying to figure out why these mistakes are happening is very important. Because I think with certain lines, especially in the Alekhine, I played them for so long, it was hard for me to remember recommendations for improvements that I found in my course because of muscle memory from doing it. So sometimes with openings, it's good to take a break and then come back 6 months later after working on other things, or not playing at all for that matter. And you find you're playing the opening a lot stronger with fresh eyes, because you can get too much in that habit of, I know it, and you don't ever study it, look at it, or try to be inspired by the creativity of the opening. So if you ever feel that way, take a break. Play something different for a while. Just my 2 cents.